Hello, it's your friendly neighborhood Shay here. I wanted to talk about this topic for a while, and a bunch of videos on my FYP have been bringing it back up. And my opinion about FMA and FMA Brotherhood, I just come to the conclusion it also goes with the OG Fruits Basket and the full-length series that we got as well. That stating that the original is better regardless that the remakes are actually the content in the manga. And I say that for the pacing between FMA and Brotherhood to the original Fruit Basket to the remake, and the art direction, which messes up key points that make those shows and stories what they are. So you can't definitively tell somebody, ooh, when they ask, I haven't watched Full Metal Alchemist, which one should I watch? Should I watch the original or should I just watch Brotherhood? My opinion, in order, you need to watch the OG one and then watch Brotherhood to get the actual true ending that's in the manga. Same thing for Fruit Basket. You need to watch the OG one and then watch the full remake of it. Even though, especially in the Fruit Basket section, the mangaka despises the original, which I'm not even gonna hold her. I understand. If you don't know the story, the Fruits Basket author hated the original anime because it took away from her actual story. She was like, y'all just went ragged with what I wrote, and that is not my story at all. So she was like, I will never let y'all make another season of this again. That is why we never got a season 2 of the OG Fruits Basket, because she hated it so much, which is hilarious. But to the point when they finally got her to agree to do the remake, she was like, nobody that was on the OG one gets to be on this one, and you need to do the whole manga bar for bar, no differences. So for the Japanese audience, every VA, yes, even the VAs, every VA was brand new. They did not get the old VAs to reprise their roles, because even they got the stick, which I feel bad for. You just go and audition for a show. You didn't know it was going to blow up like that, nor did you think the mangaka was going to be that heated about the animation team and the director doing whatever they wanted with the story, and now you get flacked that you can't reprise your role in one of the biggest shoujo animes ever. Like I said, I'm on the author side, because apparently working with them, trying to make the original 2001 series was hell. They wouldn't take her direction, character design, coloring, all of that, plus they made their own ending, which wasn't hers, and she was like, this is not it. So both the studio and her was like, we do not want to work with each other ever again. There will not be a season 2. And the only reason that we got the reboot is that the new studio that did the 2019 adaptation was like, will you let us do the whole entire Fruits Basket? And she was like, cool, I got some caveats though. Nobody, and I mean nobody, can work on it if they worked on the original, and I need to be in contact with it somewhat, plus the animation needs to be different from the manga, coming from when there was a little bit of differences in the art style when she got sick, but that would be the only difference, would be the art style. The story had to stay the same, and they were like, cool, they kept her in the loop, made her a creative director on the anime. She felt really good about it. So yes, is the new reboot the definitive version of Fruit Basket? Yes, but I still say that there are problems here, because the main caveat, the main twist of the story is Akito. For people who don't want to be spoiled, go off of this right now and I'll give you a timestamp when you can come back. But the main thing about Akito is, all throughout the series, we think Akito is a boy, and then it comes out that Akito is not a boy. She's a girl. But I have seen multiple times, especially through watching TikToks of other people watching Fruits Basket for the first time, they automatically go to the reboot because that's the whole entire thing altogether, which makes sense. But they immediately clock that Akito is a girl. So all of them are like, how is this supposed to be a revelation to me about Akito being a girl? That's definitely a girl right there. On top of, now that could be differences depending on, I don't know which one they're watching, either the Japanese dub or the English one, the voice actor that they chose, because back in the day in the 2001, it was very androgynous that I could not discern that Akito was a girl. So we're back. It is very annoying that that key point of the story, because of the new one, just automatically for new watchers of it, just feathers into nothing because it's so easy to discern. Why is that? Why is it different to the degree that it is so easy to see that is an issue? So to me, the reboot can't be the definitive part. If a main key point in your story that's not clockable in the manga and was not clockable in the original is very easily known in the reboot. Now, of course, Fruit Basket is very, very old. So over time, a lot of people have probably gotten spoiled to that. But there's plenty of people who have not watched or known what Fruit Basket was at all. So they would have never understood that, but automatically see, ooh, something's not right here, even though that is a main focal point of what's going on in this story, especially when it gets revealed. So even though a lot of the things that went down in the 2001 anime, a lot of the things the mangaka does not like, and I'm totally on her side, if the director is degrading your story thinking that it doesn't have a lot of substance in that regard, plus it's not his cup of tea types of mangas that he usually works and adapts into animes, he does more slapstick, and he's adding all these extra things, doing all these extra things, and you're telling him, hey, that's not it, this is not my story, and he's like, yeah, whatever. I would also be butthurt about it too. I'm not even gonna be mad at her, but I can see that this manga in the 2001 version does a good job with getting across a lot of the things that the 2019 doesn't at all, in the way that it has been done. Even though I am very happy that it is the full manga instead of just being like, please can I get season 2, and that was never gonna happen, it was never gonna come, and just having just the season 1. I'm happy that the mangaka was able to get her full-fledged story shown animation wise in the exact way that she wants. But as a viewer, now that it's in the hands of the viewer, I highly implore people to watch the original and then go into the full-fledged story from the 2019 version so that you can get everything animated. Plus, it is so hard to find all of the original manga, especially in the single volume format when it originally came out in. I have a couple of them, but I don't have a lot of them, and that was just on a lucky streak going to a used bookstore. Those original single formats are a pretty penny, bro. Plus, you can still get the manga, but it's majorly in those big boxes in the omnibus. Now, I'm not an omnibus person. I like the single ones more. It fits better in my hand. I'm not gonna say that the omnibuses are bad. I do enjoy the box sets, but again, you have to get either the big thick ones in the omnibus, or you get the big box set of all of them still in omnibus format. And those are your only options. They're not doing the single ones anymore, and I love the single ones the most. Now, switching gears back to FMA. FMA, that is a little bit different on how we got a reboot for that story compared to Fruit Basket. The 2003 one and the middle of the story had already caught up and surpassed what the manga was already doing, so they had to fill in content, and all of that was anime only stuff. Everything in there, plus the movie at the end that gets all the story based together. That is an anime original ending for that. And because FMA is so damn popular, the fans were like, we want a new one, but what actually happens in the manga? Please, 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 please. So that is why we got Brotherhood. Now, my thing is, I don't know the sentiment that much for the author of FMA, how she felt about what they did with their anime only ending, but from all the other things that I've seen her in interviews for, majority Silver Spoon, the thing she did after Full Metal Alchemist, she's pretty cool. She really don't give a damn, in my humble opinion. She seems like a pretty chill person in my regard, but I can't say that for a definite fact that maybe she was upset about what they did in the original 2003, but it didn't seem like this was a thing that needed to be done urgently in her mind. It's just like, okay, cool, whatever, that's the 2003 one. I know what my manga is. Everybody loves my manga, and it truly is everybody. I think just because FMA is so popular for what it is, it got a reboot because the fans wanted it the most and not from the author herself per se, but that's just my opinion on the matter. So again, yes, is Brotherhood the definitive version of what FMA is supposed to be? Highly correct. But my issue, especially when Brotherhood was coming out and I was watching it, because I was like, oh yeah, I have an excuse to watch this again, it was the pacing of everything going on, and especially when we got to things, it was giving you the you know this already type look, and I was like, why are you doing that? This is the stupidest thing ever. Why are you giving me this wink wink nudge nudge? You already know the story. There's plenty, just like I said for Fruit Basket, plenty of people who have not watched this a day in their life, don't know a piece of the story at all. Why would you give me a wink wink nudge nudge? You already know what's gonna go down. I need it to be like I'm watching it for the first time. So if I need context from the original to understand everything that is going on here, and it's not giving off like, ooh, an Easter egg for all the people who watched it prior in the 2003 one, it seems like you need to understand that what is about to come is about to happen. And that was pissing me off, and that's why I didn't like Brotherhood as much until we got to the point where the stories divulged into what is in the original manga from what is in the original 2003 anime. And for that reason, a bunch of people that state that, oh, you don't need the original because it's an anime only ending, you only need Brotherhood. No, you don't. No, you do not. You definitely need the original. And my main thing, again, the main important story plot that really submits what FMA is when we get to Shao Tucker. All of that, the pacing on that in Brotherhood is terrible, in my opinion, because it creeps up on you in the original what Shao Tucker is actually doing in the background, making that chimera. It's like, oh, okay, he's a scientist, he's like the #1, he had this revolutionary breakthrough, but he hasn't had one in a while, right? His wife is gone, but he has a loving, beautiful daughter and a nice, cute dog right next to him. And he's getting real agitated by the government because they're like, oh, we're about to cut funding. His whole entire life and his work is about to be for naught because he cannot replicate it again. So when we finally open the door and see Big Brother come out, it's insane in the original and sad as all heck. But because of the wink wink nudge nudge in Brotherhood, it is so obvious that he is a bad guy. When in 2003, it takes you a minute to be like, who's doing these things? Suspense and the realization of the horror that Al and Edward faced when they opened that door of what has gone down and coming to the conclusion, oh, that's what happened to his wife. The same thing that's looking at me right now is what he got the honor for as a scientist prior. That's crazy. Everything starts making sense altogether. And then when you get to Brotherhood, it's like, you already know who the bad guy is. You already know what's going to go down. The whole entire joke of Full Metal Alchemist that everybody knows, if you've watched it, here you go, guys. I'm like, are you kidding me, bro? You could have done this better. Even if it doesn't give me the sickening feeling like it did in 2003. Even if I was going to re-watch that again, I feel the exact same way if I watched it 2003. At this point, I'm like, well, if you're watching Brotherhood, it's just like, okay, you think I'm stupid? There's too many like innuendos of what is going down, so when you finally get to the climax, it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't hurt as much. And that is the episode that cemented FMA into what a great anime and story it was going to become. It's like, oh, we are not pulling punches here. This is real now. It didn't feel like that in Brotherhood at all. And then when we get to Hughes, I feel the exact same way. You could have done this 10 times better because you did in 2003. Oh, that was my problem. I'm on the side of people being like, oh yes, we should have the full rendered story as the author intended. I'm totally down with that. But if you need to give me all those like innuendos of the original, even though the original is not the definitive version, then others state that you do not need to watch the original at all. It does not make any sense to me. You do need to watch the original to get the gripping sadness that it is for those two things that occur. And then if you want to, when it starts to cut and move into an anime only, you can drop it then there and then go back to Brotherhood, in my opinion. Or you can just, like me, finish out FMA in the original 2003 to get subliminal extra content of what if type scenarios at that moment in time. Because it is still good. It is still amazing, even though it's an anime ending. I will say, the only good anime ending that we've received in a very, very long time, and that was in 2003. Let's think about all the other anime ending stories that we've gotten from 2003 to now. I can't think of a really good one. None really come to mind, but I will say this has been on my mind for a while, and I just didn't know how I was going to make a video about it because I was too lazy to be like, oh, this is how many episodes it took to get to the Chimera arc in the original for this one, and then how we figured out with this with Fruit Basket. I didn't want to do all that research because I was lazy, and this would make it boring for me. So this is the video you're gonna get. That's why you haven't been getting videos in the first point, because I am not going to be the anime analysis researcher type. This is not gonna be me. I don't feel it in my blood. But thank you for watching my video that I haven't put out in a long time. I'm trying to get more out, especially we had gotten to 300 followers, and then 2 people were like, yeah, nah, I'm out, bro. which I ain't even gonna hold you. Thank you for holding for the ride for the moment in time and then dipping when you wanted to. For the people that want to stay, I make shorts every single day. We're gonna see if I can keep the streak this year for 365 because I fumbled a couple of times last year. But that was my first one, so you gotta give me some grace. And I hopefully will be able to give you 1 to 2 videos per month. Do not hold me because I'm already late on those. Have a great day. Bye.